Busing was a lot better than it is today. Little old 5586 laying over in Hartford. Should be running down to New York City very shortly. In order to maintain the times faster than Amtrak between Boston and New York, a lot of the Greyhounds left Riverside and just kept going. 6457 down in the Dallas yards. Now see that big rub rail? That's what started saving the baggage bays when they put them on the 8s and the 9s and whatnot. The little 5s and the 7s, that little thin strip, that never worked out too terribly well. Ah, 4471. That's the old cross the top of Maine route. It used to come out of Bangor and run up through Jackman and then across through Quebec. This was shot at Sherbrooke, Quebec, the old Sherbrooke station there, which is no more, and it ended in Montreal. They bought that line from an operation called International Coach, I believe it was, short line. That ran the thing for many, many years. Came across the top of Maine. It came out of Canada. Didn't come out of Maine. Right? It started in Canada. It entered Maine, and then left Maine again, going across the top. Right. That's what it was. Oh yeah, Walters Transit, the Gray Line of New York. Now this was a Greyhound-owned operation as well. These two Walters Transit cars here were pinched by a desperate dispatcher in New York City, and they were caught at Pittsburgh. You notice the Amtrak or Conrail trackage right behind it, not Amtrak, Conrail. Boy, they rolled some freight over that thing. But this is the track side of the Pittsburgh terminal. The parking area on the track side, not the gates. Yeah, 8577 sitting in Norfolk, the old Norfolk garage. Of course, that thing's history now too. Anybody in the bus industry knows you can't run a bus company without garages, and there's practically none in existence anymore at Greyhound. There's a track side of that Des Moines station, Des Moines, Iowa station you saw a little while ago. I think you'd have a hard time putting an H340 in there with those lights hanging down. 5316 inching along on 84 in Connecticut during the Hartford rush hour. Wall-to-wall traffic. Boston, New York car. Uh, 1060 Richmond in the bullpen. Holding area. MC-8 still silver roofed. Late 70s picture. Portsmouth, New Hampshire again, Jarvis. 5416 on the outside. She's the down car coming out of Bangor, and the car to the side of her is the up car from Boston to Bangor. And directly behind it, an old Continental Silver Eagle, because their storefront was right behind. That whole entire building that's seen behind the MC-8, where the Trailways storefront was, totally collapsed into itself one night in the middle of the night. You know, it was pre-revolutionary building, the pre-revolutionary war in the 1700s, and no one ever thought to do anything, I guess, about the interior framing. And one floor came down, just looked like a domino effect. Bang, 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 right down to the very bottom, and then it fell in on itself. Amazingly, not one human being was hurt. The dynamite folks couldn't have did a better job than God did. Charlotte, North Carolina, 5274. MC-8. Boston Greyhound Garage. 5284 there, waiting her turn to go in to get serviced. Obviously in the wintertime. See, now remember when I told you how to shoot the buses so that the background was moving like a rocket in a still picture? Well, you saw the picture, that the side shot. Now this is where I started. I started at this angle and then followed the car along, and I made about 7 shots hoping to end up with the one particular picture that I did get, that I did want. Of course, having a motor driving the camera does not hurt. Oh my, here's an oldie. She's in the wrong place. She should not be in this section. This is C1236 Central Greyhound in New York. 743. A beautiful 743. Her nose is a little plated there, but she sure was a pretty old girl. 743s, incidentally, were only 33 feet long, you know, they weren't 35. Yeah, I gotta set this picture aside, because that belongs in another section of the master file. I don't know how it got in here at all. That was near the end of her life, though. 6749. This is one of the MC5s in Louisville. But if you notice something a little different with this MC5, that's the fact that the dog is on the blue, not on the white. She had a bigger blue band, and so they stuck that up there on the blue. There were several variants of paint schemes on MC5s to be seen. Oh my, here's another one that's out of context. This is an old Firestone Tires ad using the 743. And that's back in the days when anybody that was building anything for a Greyhound was proud to be associated with them. Not a bad ad. We're in one of the future Bussin' Rounds coming up, Bussin' Round number 12. There's a whole chapter on Greyhound advertising through the years that you're going to find absolutely super. Give you an idea what you'll be seeing in that. Here's an early color ad for Texaco Oil, who was Greyhound's primary fuel supplier back in those days. This is a 719. This isn't a 743. That's how far back this one goes. So you keep an eye peeled. You'll see it in one of your future newsletters. Oh, there's the Toronto Greyhound Terminal and Grey Coach Terminal. Canadian MC-9 sneaking her way out. Doing the MCI lean. The tracks are back there to the right of the screen. This is a vertical picture, so consequently there's a little bit of fall off on it. Ah, there's the last of the Saudi Arabian Greyhounds being manufactured. The inner city version. To the right it down the line where the rear door transit version's coming up. This is one of the very last of the MC5Cs being built in the inner city style. This is a shot in Pembina. This one is in Pembina. Pembina, North Dakota plant. Canadian Greyhound MC-9 number 588 coming into Sault Ste. Marie. If you look over at the right hand side of the screen, there's a Housecar over there, and that is an MC-1 Housecar. One of the very early MCIs. It was owned by a furniture trucking guy there. It was a beautiful conversion too, I want to tell you. A Greyhound? No, not hardly. This is Chowensis Bus Company. Just taking a quick second here to remind you of the Mexican Connection video that's out now. Boy, that's a beauty. Got a big old rabbit jumping on the side, similar to Alameda's original rabbit. But don't miss the Mexican Connection video. It's nice. It's got a lot of moving stuff at the front of it. There's also a new Trailways scrapbook, too. The original Trailways scrapbook has a lot of really old stuff. Aero coaches, ACF brills, and flexibles. But Trailways scrapbook part 2 features a lot of the modern day stuff, like this MCI video is here. So you might consider those too. This Eagle 15 was one of the very first Eagle 15s off the line, and it was in Miami. Cedar Rapids, Iowa, MC-8 5500, running on into Chicago. Cedar Rapids was a busy little place. Street side, the old Lansing, Michigan terminal, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Lansing. Some of these are so old, I took them so long ago, it's getting hard to remember. 6283 at the White River Junction Busport. White River Junction, Vermont Busport is another one of those bus stations that has one of the area's better restaurants. I mean, it's a really great little restaurant, great place to eat. And of course, you get to see all kinds of Vermont Transit equipment and Greyhound equipment coming and going. MC-8 when she still was silver roofed. There's a nice black tire back there, wheel. Very odd for those days to see something like that. Howard Johnson's on a Connecticut Turnpike. No longer Howard Johnson's. Today it is now a Mickey D's. And then 4465 sitting in there at a very unscheduled stop. The driver decided he wanted an ice cream, and that's all there was to that. It's supposed to be an express run, Boston, New York, or New York, MBTA Riverside, Newton Station, and then downtown. Again, during the $75 fare anywhere. 6574 coming out the afternoon bus lane out of the Lincoln Tunnel in New York. Again, it's an incredible place to take pictures. Incredible place to take pictures. 3694 Super 7 Scenic Cruiser in Albany, New York. Getting ready for a run down to the Big Apple. When all the tracks are full and the service area is full, they park them out in the street underneath the expressway. I don't know if they have that problem anymore with any congregation of Greyhounds at Albany. 4682 cresting the biggest pull on the Boston, New York run, the Tolan Hill at Tolan, Connecticut. It's a good sized little hill. During autumn, of course, as you can see, the trees are starting to change. Shut out the window of my blazer. Back in the 70s. See, I can remember taking this picture last week, and the thing's over 20 years old. Just like it was last week, rather. Man, time flies. It won't be long now, I guess. There's a pretty good shot of the Burlington, Vermont street loading bus station. They pull in on that side and then they pull out in the front of it as well. It's still in existence today. 3033, one of the original first series MC7s. You can tell by that rear wheel well that's squared off. See, they had wheel pants on their fender covers, whatever you want to call them. But they used to build up snow and ice back there, and they had to remove them. We've got a video out that shows them running with that in one of the Bus and Round series. I think it's Bus and Round 1. And it was covered in that particular video. It's a moving video, too. But it didn't work out well at all when winter came. 3181 at the Louisville shops. Towards the close of her life. No, that wasn't the close of her life. Matter of fact, she'd be going in and get reskinned and rehabbed there. She's a silver roofed one. One of the last of the Art Deco Greyhound stations still left in the system. At least last I was there it was left. Things happen so fast in Greyhound now, I don't know. Binghamton, New York was a neat little station. They had one of the great big giant Scenic Cruiser models up over the ticket counter that had about 35 pounds of dust in it. And it obviously had been up there for years, but it was really perfectly mint. And I ran a picture of the inside of this terminal once in a very early IBC, and Fred Denikowski, who was the president of the Greyhound at the time, went like a shot up there and picked that sucker up. Old Dallas Greyhound station. Tain't no mo, no mo, no mo. It's history. Again, Southeastern Greyhound was the original creator, and so it's a drive-through station. There are no tracks in it anywhere. At least pull-in tracks. Now here's a rare girl. Lettered up Milwaukee O'Hare Express, coach 1415. The car was dedicated to the Milwaukee O'Hare Airport in Illinois outside Chicago, and I guess the service was doing very well, but for some odd reason it was pulled. As you see, it's a 102, but that's what's lettered back at the rear of the coach. Milwaukee O'Hare Express, you know, like the Lucky 7 buses. Oh, that's something we haven't had in this MCI series here. There's the gambling cars. Oh, maybe we'll run into one before we close out. TNM&O, sitting on a rainy day down in Houston, I believe it was. TNM&O 885, L885, again part of that series I did with the 102s when they were relatively new to TNM&O. This was before they had bought out New Mexico Transportation too. MC5A 2950, Portland, Oregon, many years ago. Portland was a drive-through affair as well. Although this station no longer exists either. This station is history. .4119 on our way up to Augusta, Maine. Caught at the Jarvis restaurant in Portsmouth. $16.93 when she was brand spanking new, sitting in Arlington National Cemetery in Washington, D.C. Which is an absolutely awesome place to shoot buses in the summertime, at least. They're coming and going all day long by the hundreds. The new C3s Greyhound Canada operates. This is Fleet 853. She was down at Washington, D.C. on charter. Pretty car. As you can see, they opted to put silver siding on the side of their C3s, but they left the nose plain. You know, big old Greyhound dog up there. Although the driver was telling me that they're not weathering very well. They're getting pitted and rocked up pretty bad. So they're not quite sure what they're going to do about it. 4377 coming off Wacker, going into the Greyhound station in Chicago. Once upon a time. 0001, the mighty Madden Cruiser. 102 MCI, made specially for John Madden. The roof is raised 6 inches, I believe it is. And the car is still running around today. It no longer looks like a Greyhound, because when Greyhound went bankrupt and got in trouble, he distanced himself from them. As a matter of fact, I guess they had to give him the car, make some sort of arrangement with him because they owed him so much money and they couldn't pay him. But if there's ever a football game in your area, and CBS, I think it is broadcasting, and I think he's a CBS announcer, John Madden is, you'll see the car parked out by the stadium, because that man, that big, giant, huge man, will not fly. He's terrified of airplanes. But there she is when she was running for Hound in the San Francisco garage. Another L885 TNM&O shot. That's by the bus station, and the head offices for TNM&O are upstairs with those blinds all closed up there. That's the general offices. This is Lubbock, Texas, home base for TNM&O. Neat little town. It's a pretty picture. We had this thing blown up to 30 by 40. Anything you see here can be blown up to 30 by 40. I think the current price as of November 93 was $34 complete with shipping. Same shot, just a little different angle, a little tighter in. I want to tell you, if you have any kind of a den or your collection displayed any way at all, those 30 by 40s all matted up and framed are absolutely awesome killers. Today's IC41 restoration. Boy, it is a heck of a restoration. Once owned by a fellow who's passed away now, Carl Peterson. Boy, if you ever get a chance to see this car, you got to see it. I mean, either coming, she's a beauty. She's featured in quite a few IBC videos and a lot of good rolling footage too. You also saw her in Trip to Bountiful.